Scientists' fixation on the beginning of everything has led to fascinating breakthroughs, massive discoveries, and more questions. One of the most notable players in modern science when it comes to exploring these questions is the particle accelerator. A particle accelerator will send tiny pieces of matter along miles of tubes at near light speeds until they smash into each other. Physicists hold out the hope that these experiments will uncover the Higgs boson. It can be said that this Higgs particle, or God particle, is the one essential building block of our universe. It sounds pretty straightforward, but the fact of the matter is that the caliber of this project means that it is extraordinarily complex and extremely costly. And while physicists drool over their creations, there are those who think the costs of the accelerator project outweigh the benefits. I'll take those critics' claims one step further and argue that scientists should end their search for the God particle and acknowledge the possibility that finding explanations for the origin of the universe might create new divisions among groups in our society. Nevertheless, there are numerous particle accelerators across the globe working to find these explanations. I'll be focusing mainly on CERN's Large Hadron Collider, or LHC, located in Geneva, Switzerland. Here, scientists hope to observe the God particle. As fascinating as this all is, there is a critical point that keeps me from throwing my support behind the LHC. That is the fact that science is based on guesswork, and while scientists suppose the existence of a God particle, it is still just an educated guess. So, you can see where that puts us. Stepping away from particle accelerators for a moment, consider these examples of how powerful authority has led us astray in the past. Aristotle believed the Earth was being orbited by all other heavenly bodies. We now know this to be false, but our current understanding was preceded by other theories. Claudius Ptolemy described our solar system as consisting of giant spheres which carried the planets and the moons. Ptolemy's theory was recognized by the Christian Church as being a legitimate picture of our universe. During a time when the Church was in a position of great power, its endorsement of Ptolemy's theory further convinced people of a false reality. If scientists have been wrong in the past, who's to say they're not wrong today when they speak of a God particle? Of course, one might be quick to point out that science has advanced tremendously since the time of Aristotle and Ptolemy. It's true that we now know more than ever about our universe, and our knowledge of the subject is only growing. But to say that we are capable of explaining the origins of the universe by suggesting that we can obtain a God particle is to say that there is a finite amount of knowledge one can have about the existence of everything. It doesn't take a physicist to foresee the implications that this could have on society. At its worst, a secular explanation for the existence of everything could further separate an already divided people, the religious and non-religious. This would quickly translate into a dispute between church and state. Differences in scientific and religious understanding have succeeded in dividing people into opposing sides of arguments in the past. The theory of evolution has been a subject of much debate ever since Charles Darwin first made his findings public in the middle of the 19th century. What makes evolution so controversial is that it forces people to choose between science and religion. Educators still are not all in agreement about how to explain the dawn of human life. The discussion divides people on the basis of whether they support the theory of evolution in the classroom or defend intelligent design, an idea that has evoked opposition from the American government because of its religious implications. The opposition was so great that in 2005, the Bush administration released a statement saying that because intelligent design is not a science, it has no place in science curriculum. The discrediting of intelligent design by the American government has steered members of religious groups into a dead end. For the evolution debate, as well as the debate surrounding the God particle, this is what's at stake. Throwing out this entire belief system both devalues religion and discredits the worldview of those for whom intelligent design is the foundation. Nevertheless, the United States government, a powerful entity comparable to that of the Christian Church in the time of Ptolemy, has made clear its stance on what should be accepted as a legitimate scientific explanation of the existence of the universe. By rejecting the idea of intelligent design in the classroom, the American government finds itself backing the teaching of the evolutionary theory. As science and governments shift their focus to wrestle with questions concerning the origin of our universe, the issues are no less complicated. As some governments have realized, when it comes to producing tangible results, they might be in over their heads. While physicists within CERN maintain high hopes and continue their efforts to find the God particle, particle collider projects here in the United States have not received the same attention. The feeling in the United States seems to be that the particle accelerator project isn't worth the money. At the start of 2011, the Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory announced that it would end operations on America's particle collider in the near future. America's status as a world power adds to the impact of this decision. If a country like the United States deems this project not worthy of the resources, one can only wonder if other countries will follow suit. Although America's search for the God particle has ended, its desire to be an influential player means that the American government is interested in any major discovery brought about by particle colliders abroad. In time, the United States might accept some findings as fact. As you saw earlier, when an authority accepts certain facts, people's belief systems tend to align to those facts. This scenario paints a picture of how this redefining moment that is a shift in accepted beliefs could still play out as CERN and other projects around the world continue to operate. I commend the United States government's decision to end particle collider projects in the States. At least now, when the controversy between the so-called radical and right-minded people ensues, the United States can wash its hands of some of the responsibility. But to stop our global society from being further divided, I argue that the only sensible thing to do would be to end the search for the God particle all over the world. In my view, this would allow scientists to reassess their goals, ideally to include uniting humanity under common beliefs as one of them. And when the world is finally ready to resume their search for the God particle, they must do so with caution. Ideally, a new search team, a so-called Council of Elders, would be formed to include religious leaders and government leaders as well as scientists. Presently, and for those who would accept it, the dividing issue that will come as a result of discovering the God particle will define them as mere products of science. Those who reject the project's findings will have to do so under the presumption that the new understanding of the reason we exist is not correct. Either you were born of the God particle, or the God particle doesn't exist.